Did you know it snowed in Tampa in 1977? They had like a half inch of snow. The whole city shut down. People are crashing their cars. A $10,000 fine to a hedge fund who's spending billions of dollars on single family homes. Dude, your realtor costs more than that. That's not going to hurt a hedge fund. How do you think Tampa can best handle the transportation issue as the city grows? That's such a good question. And I think the big issue is the chicken or the egg, right? You're never going to create a scenario where you can build public transportation before we have all the growth and all the problems.
Right.
No city government is ever going to spend tax money before it's truly needed.
Right.
So there's going to be this weird phase of growth, which we're kind of in now, where we don't have public transportation, we don't have light rail, we don't have some of the things that a lot of people want, but I don't think there's motivation from the government to do it because everyone's in their car and happy, and
Right.
there's not a true need for it yet. We're going to need to get more dense, more people before I think that happens.
I would agree. What were those Tesla taxis that they I don't know, they only did like how many of those?
I think there's like 12 or 15.
There's
It's
like
called
not
Dash.
even that many. Yeah, Dash.
Let me look it up here. Can you pull that up?
Yeah.
I want to take a ride. They look pretty sweet. That's what's going to happen in between too. Like in between the trolley expansion and, you know, any sort of good public transportation, you're going to start to see a lot of these different companies come in and essentially create new forms of public transportation. Dash Tampa, a hub-to-hub transit service. Rides are requested through an app, costs about $2 a person. I mean, this is great. Like, it's better than nothing. It's better than a scooter.
Right.
Have you taken one yet?
No, I haven't. I was interested to hear your thoughts.
They look cool.
$2 per person is super affordable. It's better than Uber, right?
It's a lot better than Uber, dude. Uber's expensive, man.
Plus the wait time if you're going to wait for your guy to fucking accept you.
Wait time, Uber's expensive. I don't know. This seems like a great option at $2 a piece. $2 a ride. 100% electric, so you can, you know, sleep well at night knowing you're not going to sink the earth into the ocean.
Right.
Let's go into what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the chat box on my computer here pulled up. So if anyone wants to pop in a question, feel free. Let me see if we have anything else here. All right, let me do.
We can pin a comment too, to the live. I think you have to do that through.
You should pull this up too, Tyler. Can you
I have
go
it.
on?
I have it, but I what I was saying is like pinning it live. I don't know how we're gonna do that though.
Someone's trying to FaceTime me. My wife. Unbelievable. No respect. Okay, so you have the chat. I have the chat. We're ready to dig into some stuff here. The first thing I want to talk about, my wife, she's blowing me up. We'll be live here. We'll do maybe a half-hour show today. Let's see here. Can you pull up, let's watch that congressman's video in North Carolina. He's talking about there's new legislation being enacted at the federal level to try to figure out the balance between single family and multifamily zoning. Clearly, this country has a supply issue that's expressed very well here in Tampa. There's like no inventory. Homes are skyrocketing in price. There's not enough for people to buy right now.
His name is what again?
I sent him to you.
This is your account. No, it's not.
He's well, I didn't DM him. I just told you who it was. God, now I got
It's right here.
Let me.
It's right here. Jeff Jackson.
Yeah. So let's play this and then we can talk about it. It's essentially on increasing home ownership. It's on increasing the inventory of available homes. Obviously, increasing supply will reduce price level. If there's more available for people to purchase, that is always a good thing. So let's watch his video here. Let's play this. Can they hear it? Can the chat hear it?
What the hell? Oh, I have the Instagram live pulled up on my screen.
Uh-oh. Sorry, folks. We're working out the kinks here.
No, they can't. They can't hear it.
Someone says, can you explain the new act that is being presented about hedge funds and single family homes? We're going to get into that. That's a super important topic. There's a ton of info. They got their little backroom deals with all of their hedge funds and all the creepy shit politicians do. And unfortunately, that goes on, right? Like, there's politicians in bed with the hedge funds that are buying these single family properties. If there's any objection, you kind of have to look at what person in Congress is saying what and voting for what, and then look at their interests. Look at what 100%. Stocks they own. Maybe they own REITs. So we'll dig into all that. So can you play that?
There's no way that they hear it because it's playing through our headphones.
Can you play it through the TV speaker?
I just tried, but
all right. So if the chat is interested, well, how about the recording? Will the people on the regular, like on Friday when this releases, be able to see it? All right, well, we'll just play it and go.
If you want to watch, you're going to have to watch in the full episode.
Yeah, so say who this is, Tyler, who the congressman is and where he's from.
Okay, he is Mr. Let me get it pulled up right now to the TV.
This is great. This is interesting stuff because I haven't really seen a lot of this being discussed in Congress. Like, this is usually a local level thing, right? Mm-hmm. Where a local municipality is rezoning areas from single family to multifamily. On one side, a lot of the residents that live in these areas, they don't want this to happen because imagine living in a neighborhood. The entire neighborhood is single family homes. All of a sudden the government says, hey, now this whole area is multifamily. Then you get developers creating quadplexes, duplexes, stuff like that. And all of a sudden you went from living in a quiet little neighborhood to this dense environment where there's potentially 4 times the amount of people living in the same spot.
Right.
So I understand why there's a lot of people that are against it. I get it. But at the end of the day, we need to figure something out because there's just not enough homes for people to buy.
Yeah.
And prices are very expensive.
Right.
So let's play this video.
All right.
Expensive is that there aren't enough houses. And a big reason there aren't enough houses is because there aren't enough duplexes, triplexes, and townhomes. And the reason there aren't enough of those is because most cities made them largely illegal to build. That's kept the supply of housing low while demand has been high, so we get higher prices. Lots of cities are trying to fix this by legalizing duplexes and triplexes, but that will take years. Here's why I'm telling you this. What's making this problem even worse is a small handful of large companies that are saying, here's what we're going to do. We're going to buy up as many houses as we can out of a very limited supply and then rent them. They're not just profiting from a shortage of housing, they're making the shortage worse. The more they can take a small number of houses for sale and make it even smaller, the more they can charge for rent, and the more expensive the remaining houses will be. This is a bigger problem than you might think. In Charlotte, where I'm from, we're talking about roughly 20% of all the houses getting bought, every orange dot you see. But in neighborhoods with lower income starter homes, it can be half the houses that are getting bought. Here's how this problem looks across my state. But we're seeing this in cities across the country. Here's the growth we've seen in large corporations buying up houses in Atlanta and Memphis and Birmingham. It's the places that are growing the fastest that have the worst shortage of housing, so that's where it's the most profitable to buy up the limited supply and then flip them for rent. So today I filed a bill to do something about this. It says that if you're a large corporation buying up tons of homes, then for every one you buy, you have to put $10,000 into a fund that helps low-income families make a down payment on a home. So it creates a disincentive for them to keep buying and uses the funds it generates to help the people they're hurting the most. It wouldn't solve things overnight, but it would tip things in favor of families who are trying to buy their first home. And look, if it weren't for the GI Bill, our family wouldn't have been able to afford our first home. We needed that help. Lots of young families do. And the least we can do is make sure they have a level playing field. I'll keep you posted.
All right, pause it. So first of all, a $10,000 fine to a hedge fund who's spending billions of dollars on single family homes, potentially buying thousands in each market. $10,000 per transaction, dude, your realtor costs more than that. That's not going to hurt a hedge fund. And I don't think that's going to provide any sort of incentive one way or the other. So that sounds like a Band-Aid solution, but at least it's a start, right?
Right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, did you see? I mean, did you have time to look into this? What I was talking to you earlier about with the what Biden administration was looking into, and what DC Drano posted.
What did he post? Does it have to do with this topic? Because we're still kind of on this.
Yeah, on the corporations buying up single family homes.
Yeah. I did, and I don't know if he was referring to this congressman introducing this legislation, but there's been a lot of buzz in Congress in the last couple weeks about this.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I think there's there's a couple issues there, right? One of them is converting single family to multifamily could be dangerous when you're converting well-established neighborhoods that have been single family homes for decades. These people have lived here for generations. They've enjoyed their quiet neighborhood. Now all of a sudden that's being converted to a dense urban multifamily housing area. Like, right. I think that's a big problem. But then at the same time, you don't want these areas that are all single family, in a growing city like Tampa to remain single family, because we do need the supply of housing.
Right.
So there's a balance in between. A $10,000 required, fee to put into a fund to help low income people. I guess that's a good start, but that's certainly not the solution to the entire issue here.
Yeah.
So what did DC Drano post? I can actually pull it up here on my own computer here too. Let me see. DC Drano. He's a local guy.
Here we go.
Conservative talking head. I don't know
here.
What you'd call him. So a bill has been introduced in the Senate, the End Hedge Fund Control of American Homes Act of 2023, that would force big investors to sell off all the single-family homes they own over 10 years and eventually ban hedge funds from owning any single-family homes entirely. Wow, that is a way more aggressive piece of legislation than the last video we watched.
Right.
This is something that would have a dramatic effect on this whole entire issue we're talking about, hedge funds buying homes. I mean, this is a dramatic change. People are saying, should also ban foreign companies from buying up homes. We posted it's been a long time coming. I think it's a good thing. The American dream and the way that a lot of people in this country had made their money, I'm sure many people listening and their families, grandparents, parents, that's what you did, right? You bought a home, you bought property, you got a job, and you paid your bills. And when you retired and sold the home, there was a significant portion of equity. Usually someone's home is their biggest investment. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, that's been taken away. It's been taken away by certain policies. It's been taken away by inflation, whether or not that's government, forced or government caused it's a good question. I don't think it's entirely government caused. I think it's also just the nature of how this country operates with our fiat currency, right? Money used to be backed by gold. So money really meant something. Money was very valuable. Today it's just digits, and they can just create the digits and pump more into the economy. And that's what happened during COVID.
Right.
They pumped, I don't know what it was. I think it's like certainly hundreds of billions, maybe seriously even trillions.
Oh,
yeah.
for sure.
Is it trillions?
Yeah.
Trillions of dollars into the
sure.
economy. Anytime you do that, money becomes worthless, inflation increases.
Right.
So when that happens, you're going to drive people that want to buy a home out of the market. Mm-hmm. Guys like you, dude, you're 21 years old, you're working hard. How are you going to buy a $500,000 or $600,000 starter home?
Right.
It's going to take you way longer than it did back in the 60s when a home was $25,000.
100%.
So that is a major issue. We've taken away home ownership from low-income people and even people in the middle class. The middle class is struggling to find a home right now.
Right.
I'm actually looking for a home myself, and it's hard for me to find a home. And I'm 31 years old and I got some cash and some investments and stuff like that. And if I'm having trouble, I know there's a hell of a lot of people having trouble.
Yeah.
This is a big problem. And it's about damn time that our federal government has taken note of this. So I think it's a good thing. We'll follow up and see what happens with it. We'll see what happens, but you got to look at these people at the federal level, these legislators. let's watch and see who comes out against a bill like this. Because I read something like this that says, hey, a hedge fund can't own a single family home. Now they'll probably narrow it down to certain neighborhoods and zoning districts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
As an example, maybe if a developer comes in a rural area and builds a 50-unit single-family community, maybe they're allowed to rent that out.
Right.
But like in a city like here in South Tampa, they're probably not going to be able to buy single-family homes. And then you're going to get into the nitty-gritty of, well, single-family homes, okay, hedge fund, you can rent them out, but only to long-term tenants, right? People who live there. You can't do Airbnb. You can't do short-term. Like all of those weedy conversations are eventually going to get, discussed. So we'll see how it plays out. Follow the money though,
That's very true.
see what congressman is against this and then see what interest they have.
That makes sense.
Yeah, dog.
That's a lot. That's a lot to unfold right there.
It is. It's a developing thing. This is new.
Yeah.
But an extremely important conversation and something people are very worried about for a damn good reason. I'm affected by it personally. I'm looking for a home. I can't find anything, and anything I do find doesn't make sense. It's too expensive. Interest rates are too high. Insurance is too high. Property taxes aren't, cheap. So we have an affordability crisis that isn't going to get better unless something is done. And unfortunately, something has to be done by the government. And I don't think a $10,000 fund per transaction is going to help us.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
Now, let's pull up an article. Can I send you this article, Tyler?
Of course.
How would I do that? Services. How do I send you something from my computer? Can you go to Safari and share? Okay, share, AirDrop, and then hopefully you pop up. Is your AirDrop on? Tyler's MacBook Pro.
Yeah.
Pull this article up. So here's a local article. When was this? This is from, I believe, this year. Yeah, this is from March this year. So St. Petersburg approves allowing some single-family homes to become multifamily. So this has already happened at a local level. By a 7-1 vote, the city council approved the zoning change, which goes into effect immediately. So here it is. You have local government already trying to make an effect on this zoning issue to create more supply, to ease demand and ease the price level. In basic economics, when you have a high level of demand and a low supply, the price level increases. Conversely, if there's a low demand and a very high supply, the price level decreases. So this local legislation is to provide more supply, thereby decreasing prices. Affordability is an extremely hot topic, and this is something the local government in St. Petersburg is trying to do to produce some inventory and get the prices down. Unfortunately, they've gotten a lot of kickback. So scroll up a little bit. So it says, you can see these signs here, right? 1 in 4 homes are sold to investors. Now, this is probably true in the last few years. There's been a lot of companies, like we've said, that have came down here and bought all these duplexes and even single family, like we said, right?
Right.
So 1 in 4 homes are sold to investors. Investor-owned land significantly increases, which is correct. You have a single family lot. Now it's zoned for 4 units. Theoretically, it's worth more money. Properties converted to unregulated rentals. That's a whole different issue, right? That's kind of the short-term issue. Affordable housing crisis created and worsens. Environmental population issues increase. Less investors, more housing. This has clearly pissed off neighbors. I would assume they got a lot of pushback, but a 7-1 vote, they approved this zoning change. So they have clear pressure to do something about it, and they are.
Yeah.
This will affect nearly 3,000 properties in the urban core in St. Petersburg and turning them from single family to up to 4 residences, multifamily zoning.
Yeah. Wow.
That's a massive increase. 3,000 properties. So you could go from 3,000 single family homes to 12,000 units in one area, which is insane. My wife keeps calling. I feel bad. We got a baby. My parents are coming over. My dad's coming over. I might have to cut the live off to give them a call, but we'll still stay on our regular platform, and we will pick back up live in a few minutes. Tyler, can you take it away while I call her?
100%, man.
What are your thoughts?
Thoughts on the zoning change, dude? This is not the first one to happen. So it seems like this is the direction that St. Petersburg's heading in, and it's like you said, it increases people's property values, and there's lots of positives to it. It's a direction in the right path.
Step out.
Yeah, go ahead, man. We'll take a little break.
What's your perspective from a young person? Do you want to see something, a change like this? This will
Right.
get into the game,
No, absolutely. Yeah, no, this is huge. This is huge for, hopefully this takes an effect here in Tampa as well. We can see some more. I personally have not seen a lot of duplex, quadplex, anything more than 1 units here in Tampa Bay has been very scarce. So I'm actually really excited about this being such a huge win for the city of St. Petersburg. Very exciting stuff. We're pretty new to this whole the whole live thing, so we're gonna try to figure out how we can go live and record an episode all in the same time. While we try to figure that out, bear with us because it's gonna be a long journey with the Tampa Bay Developer Podcast, and we have a lot of awesome things planned. Gonna pull the live back up.
What do you think, man? How do you feel about this?
I think it's exciting, man. It's just more inventory in the duplex, triplex, and quadplex world, and adding more housing to the area. It's great for the city, and I think it's important that Tampa looks at that and considers that as well.
Tampa seems to be a little bit behind the ball on some of these more progressive policies. I think that something like this probably wouldn't go in Tampa.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people here that live in the not in my backyard world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if you were to suggest, hey, we're going to turn this neighborhood into a neighborhood that has increased density. And now the neighbor next door, that old crappy house that was falling apart, it's not going to be a new single family home. Someone's going to bulldoze that and build a 4-unit little apartment building.
Yeah.
I don't believe that people here will go for that. I think there's going to be more pushback on this side of the bay than there is in St. Pete. St. Pete has always been a little bit more ahead of the game in terms of progressive policy.
Yeah.
And by progressive, I don't mean some of those fucking buzzwords you hear, relating to like gay rights and abortion. That's not what I mean by progressive. I mean like literally progressive, like literally forward-thinking policies. Mm-hmm. So St. Pete has always kind of had that, idea. So that's what's going on locally. We'll keep along and keep following up with that, see what the situation is. Again, follow the money, see who's in whose pocket. Let's switch over, Tyler. What was the next thing we were going to talk about? Hedge funds. Yeah, so another thing, where were we here? Multifamily. We kind of hit 2 and 1. Let's talk, first of all, that sinkhole in Busch Gardens is wild.
Yeah. No,
it happened in the middle of November. A sinkhole opened under Busch Gardens in a wastewater pond and dumped 2.5 million gallons of wastewater into what? The aquifer? Right? Like, where would the water go? Wouldn't it go into the aquifer?
Check it out.
A 15 by 15 foot sinkhole. Florida's so fucking crazy, isn't it? Just holes opening up in the middle of the earth.
Wow.
As if we didn't need another thing on our belt, our tool belt of antics here in Florida. To add to it, we have holes that open up in the middle of the earth.
Some of the comments were to this happening was fucking hilarious, dude.
What are people are probably like, oh, look, hell's opening up in Florida. If hell was going to open up, it'd probably be in Florida.
Right.
Did you see the new GTA 6 commercial or trailer?
Yeah, of course.
Of course, right?
It looks fucking amazing.
It looks absolutely incredible, and I'm so glad they lean into like the Florida man thing. Like half the trailer was showing Florida antics.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And what's really crazy is the graphics are so good, and they nailed it with the Florida man shit that like you almost can't even tell what's real life and what's video game.
No, for real. It's seriously crazy. I wanted to pull up. Let me see who posted it. Who posted about this this sinkhole?
Let's try to go back live here.
I was talking to the viewers, saying to bear with us with the live testing.
Whenever I have to do some shit, Tyler, just start rambling and save the day.
Yeah,
You got a lot to talk about, though, man. You're a young guy in the game. All this shit is affecting you heavily. I mean, I'm 31, and I'm like, how the fuck am I going to buy a house?
Yeah.
You got to be thinking, damn, I wish it was 1980.
Oh, yeah, man. But that's the
these
thing.
These prices are fucked.
Yeah. I can't just prey on the past and just say, like, man, I wish I was fucking in real estate. You know, as a, what am I? I was in 8th grade. Like, what am I going to do, man? But, definitely wish that it's pretty much impossible for me or anybody who, you know, I know some people who are in the insurance game and they're making a good amount of money, and they can't get pre-approved. It's a real problem. And on top of that, just we're chasing against prices continually rising with no end in sight.
It's not good.
It's not good.
It's not good at all.
I don't know how it's going to be. Like, I don't know how we could afford it unless interest rates start coming down. Like, imagine interest rates stay where they're at. It's physically impossible. It's impossible.
It's a problem already, and it makes you imagine what it was like, I think 30 plus, well, probably 40 years ago is when interest rates were like in the teens. Mm-hmm. And it makes you imagine, like, wow, what was it like back then, having to make a buying decision, and the house you purchased, the debt interest rate is comparable to a credit card. Yeah. Like, that's kind of a mind fuck right there. You know, the difference, though, the big difference is that the home you were buying was $75,000. Mm-hmm. And when you take 10% or 15% of $75,000, it's not nearly as big a hit as if the starter home you want to buy is $500,000.
Right.
You know, and that's the issue today. It's the combination of both things. It's the price level and the interest rates. The two things that dictate the pace of the market are off the charts. Not only that, specifically, this is a Florida problem. It's really national, but specifically Florida, we have insane flood insurance costs. Condominiums are almost unbuyable right now because of HOA fees, structural issues, engineering reports condominiums have to do, reserves, etc. It's becoming very unaffordable.
Yeah, absolutely.
To a point where, like, the faucet is almost shut off, and only the people who have extra down payment, cash, those are the only people really that are in the market right now, besides people that have to make a transaction.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you're moving, you get a new job, you got to sell your house and buy a new one, divorced, life events, deaths, like those are the people that are in the market.
People are always going to have to move.
Right. I don't know that anyone's in the market right now that's just by choice. Right. You don't really have choicers in the market.
Yeah, which is difficult because, you know, everybody, you know, obviously that's like by choice, right? Like, if you want to, if that's your next step in your life and you're not able to, like, your entire life has to be put on hold because of the economy and where we're at with interest rates and housing.
A lot of people are on the sidelines right now. This goes for investors too, you know?
Right. Yeah, for the investors that they make their living based off of the housing market. It's very that's a scary thing, being an investor, right?
Well, it's scary if you're in a bad position. You know, if you made some purchases in the last few years at variable interest rates and your debt is due now and you have to refinance it, maybe double the interest rate, and your cash flow completely gets switched and now you're in the negative, you're actually bleeding every month. Like, you're going to have to sell that asset. You're going to have to collect cash from your investors. You're going to have to put up your own cash. You're going to have to figure it out. The position I'm in, I mean, I don't own a ton of real estate. I have like a couple buildings and small stuff. And, you know, I think our portfolio, I think we probably have 60% equity. We have very little debt. That's just because we're, you know, I'm a little bit of a pussy when it comes to that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm very, very conservative, probably with only one thing in my life, and that's my real estate investing.
Yeah.
You know, if anything's hairy at all, I'll back out of the deal. And thank God I did that, because there's some deals that we had under contract that we had to exit over the last couple of years. And if those things went through, I'd be in a bad position.
Yeah.
So staying conservative, the guys that stayed conservative in the last few years and only bought the cream of the crop deals, put extra money down, you know, they didn't over leverage. Those are the guys that are going to survive and then be able to create opportunities in this new market.
Yeah, for sure.
And there are going to be opportunities. There are going to be people that have to sell their assets, and there are going to be people that need to dump the properties that they bought that just don't make sense today.
Yeah.
You know, there's big fish too
Agreed.
that are going to be in this boat. You know, you're going to see huge projects be put on pause and be canceled. And, you know, here in Tampa locally, we've got some incredible projects in the works. Water Street, Gasworks, all the stuff like that. You know, as the market shifts, some of that stuff might not be built. Mm-hmm. Now, those developers are huge and they have a lot of cash and they're in a great, healthy position. They could still build it,
Right.
you know, potentially. But the appetite has changed. Like the idea that you're going to see a ton of projects still get built, you know, I don't know that that's the case. I think a lot of people are taking a step back and really looking at projections and financing and, you know, deals are going to go south.
You have to, because it's all about the buy, right? Like if you're not making a smart buying decision, then the rest of the deal is just fucked.
Exactly.
So it has to be, you know, if we're sitting back to see where it's going to go, that just seems where it seems like a lot of people are in that position of like, let's just wait for that opportunity. Because if I'm going to go attack an opportunity that it doesn't make sense, I'm just trying to push it just to try to get in something. It doesn't, you know, it's not going to work out in the end.
Yeah. The sentiment,
It's all about the buy.
it really is all about the buy. And there's been a lot of guys that have been extremely adamant on finding very, very, very good deals. And I think those guys are going to still continue to be in the market. And there's good deals in any market. You know, maybe you have to put more cash down to make it a good deal, but property is always going to be bought and sold. You know, partnerships get dissolved and people move and people die and people change their mind, and all these different things are dynamic and they happen in real time. And the idea that, oh, well, let me just take my chips off the table and not do real estate anymore, or let me just put the real estate thing to bed. No. You always want to be looking. You always want to underwrite deals. Right now, like looking at deals and knowledge is your way out.
Right.
So that when a good deal does come across your desk and you're underwriting it, you might go, holy shit, this is a great opportunity. That's always going to happen in any market.
Yeah.
Stay vigilant.
Absolutely. There's money to be made in every single market. If it's a down market, if it's a high market where it's 2020, 2021, 2022, there's always opportunity.
Is Gina Presta in here? Oh, Vinny just joined. What up, Vinnie? Dows, he says. You're the fucking dog, Vinny. How you doing up? Are you still in South Carolina? What's the market like in South Carolina? People pop in and out. Post some questions, people. Dude, did you know it snowed in Tampa in 1977?
That's wild.
Google Tampa Snow 1977. My dad used to tell me about this. He said the whole city went haywire. Like it was like you would have thought a meteor crashed. They had like a half inch of snow. The whole city shut down. Snow day. People are crashing their cars.
That would have been crazy.
No, 0.2 of an inch. Like a dusting of snow.
Crazy.
You know what though? It makes sense. Can you imagine if it snowed in Tampa? Like if we walked outside and there was a half inch of snow on the ground, 7th Avenue, people would be in the streets having snowball fights. Like life would pause and people would enjoy the winter wonderland.
That'd be so much fun, dude. I wish.
Look at that. Look at that
Florida?
picture. 1977.
Tampa, question mark?
It looks like a good amount of snow too. Looks like a good enough amount to play with.
Yeah.
Vinny says new construction is booming. That's the thing. We're still low inventory and low supply throughout the entire market. Like by market, I mean the whole country.
Here's an interesting thought. Is it cheaper for new construction loans than what an investor like rehabbing would be.
That's a really, really good point. At what point
I would ask,
does it make sense to start bulldozing and build new? What do you think about that, Vinny? What's the appetite? I think there's still a really strong appetite for new construction financing if that lender knows the borrower is an experienced developer.
right?
Like that money, I think, is still there because the institutions know we have low supply. The institutions know we need supply. They know we need new construction. There's probably always or at least in the foreseeable future, money going to be funded for new construction development.
Yeah.
I just don't think like anyone and everyone's not going to be able to get a loan like that.
No,
Like,
it's not.
I'm not going to be able to do that. I've never developed a out of the dirt brand new property. Like
Right.
I wouldn't be able to get the loan, but an experienced person, I would imagine there's still an appetite.
Yeah. 100%.
What's that picture? The Wikipedia picture right there, kind of towards the bottom. Is that the Courtney Campbell or is that Gandy Bridge?
It's hard to tell from this.
Click the Wikipedia. The Bay Bridge. Oh, far northern Florida. Oh, forget that. Panhandle. That doesn't count. That's South Georgia.
Boo.
Tallahassee snowed a few times. We had a snow day at Florida State. It was unbelievable.
That's crazy.
There was like 3,000 or 5,000 kids all got on this one Facebook group and planned to go to Doak Stadium to have a snowball fight on the snow day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty. The hype around it was insane because we
electric.
knew that was the thing. We knew the snow day was coming like a week in advance.
Yeah, you could.
So many kids were
pre-plan.
like, "Fuck yeah, we're gonna party in the snow." It only ended up being like a little dusting, but look at the snowman. What is that in Tampa? That looks like more than 1/10 of an inch.
Remember when it snowed in Tampa Bay?
No, because I was negative a few years old. 77 is the last time it snowed. That would be a hell of a sight to see. I'm on TampaPix.com. If anyone listening enjoys this podcast, you would certainly enjoy TampaPix.com because they have an incredible amount of detailed history about our area. I'm on TampaPix.com right now looking up the snowstorm we had in 1977, and the amount of information this guy or girl has about the city is unbelievable. I'd love to meet this person. I'd love to have him on the show. Reach out if you're listening. Here's a video, Snow in Tampa, 1977. Pull that up, Tyler. TampaPix.com //snow. There's a video here from 1977. Let me see if I can play it. I don't want to mess up anything we got going on. So the forecast that day was in the 40s. Oh no, this is a newer news broadcast on Channel 10.
This is not it, is it?
No, it's Tampa Pix. I should have said TampaPix.com. Look at people. People were building snowmen. How funny.
/snow.
Can you imagine if it snowed today, the news?
Yikes. Dude, that would be nuts.
Who's texting me? I need to connect my iMessage so I can still use my phone. Well, today's a special day. We didn't really have this live thing planned, but now that I know people are actually interested and we're getting a little group chat going and people are asking questions, we'll certainly do this more in the future. I think it's something that would be super cool, especially if we did it in advance where it was like, okay, hey, we're going to go live next Wednesday. We're going to talk about this type of development, this type of zoning, and then this new local issue that came up, about maybe even have an expert on one of those areas, and then the audience can ask questions. That would be super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at this. So first of all, TampaPix.com is super dope. They have this unbelievable wealth of information about all these different topics in our area. This one in particular is about the snowstorm in 1977. He talks about the Great Blizzard of 1899. Tampa experienced its one and only known blizzard with the Bay effect, snow coming off Tampa Bay. The last measurable snow in Tampa fell on January 19th, 1977. So scroll down and you can see there's a YouTube video. Where is it here? It's all the way at the bottom. Where are you at? Are you at the bottom?
Very bottom.
What the fuck? Where is it? Look, it's on mine. See?
Huh.
Maybe, can you zoom out?
Nope.
Go to YouTube and look up Tampa Pix, because they're going to have some badass other videos too. This website's sick. If you're a Tampa nerd like me, you'll love this website. There's so much crazy shit that happened a few years ago in Tampa with the Lightning Championship, the Super Bowl championship. There was so much hype around the city, and it's a damn shame that the interest rates and some of this economic shit has kind of stopped our growth. You know, I feel like, you know, the hype is still there. The city's growing. It's a beautiful place to live. Nothing in that regard has changed, but there was a sense of momentum we really, really had.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that if interest rates didn't go to where they were, you know, we might have had some real out of control price level. All right, snow in Florida. Play this.
Will it snow here this weekend and maybe stick to the ground? Well, the chance, it's a snowball's chance, and well, you know.
Probably in living
Snowball
memory,
chance.
the one that people remember was 1977.
Look at people snow at
history
USF.
Professor Ray Arsenault says it's hard to forget a snow event in Florida.
Here in the Tampa Bay Area, there was snow on the ground for a few hours. They actually closed the University of South Florida for a day. The public schools closed for 2 days. You know, and what a thought! Snow days in Florida.
We even found someone who posted their old home movies from 1977 on YouTube.
God. Amazing.
The last time the Tampa Bay area
That's
saw
what
any
big one,
measurable
wow.
snow was on Christmas Eve,
Transportation.
1989.
Look at this.
What
This
about
is enough to
shit
give
show?
drivers problems on the road, and in some places,
Where's this,
scraping
downtown?
windshields.
Oh
But it
my
was gone
God.
before
Now that was in
presents
the
were even
80s.
opened. This weekend, the jet stream will help allow colder air into.
Wow.
Yeah, it has to be a freak accident, obviously, for it to snow here. But the fact that, I just think it's funny, it's news, right? Yeah, it was on the ground for a couple hours, shut down the whole school system. People in Boston are like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, they're laughing. Like
You
4
know.
hours of
It just
snow.
shows you what sort of a paradise bubble we live in here in Tampa. You know, we got the beach, we got the best airport, we've got an incredible history and culture, and the city is gorgeous and it's growing, and there's so much happening. Every week there's a new restaurant or a new hotel or a rooftop bar opening, and yeah, occasionally we get a little snow, right? This guy, Tampa Pix, was established in 2003. He says celebrating 20 years. TampaPix.com. There's so much info. I feel
Bulldog.
like a lot of my research about Tampa, even before I started the podcast, was from Tampa Pix. And they have the amount of detail in the research that this person does with regard to the history, but also just like local restaurants and how those restaurants have changed over the years, or even small stuff that like only a person that like grew up in a certain neighborhood would even care about. You know, whether it was like a corner store or remember this playground, or it's amazing. There's another thing too, the Burger Brothers collection on the Hillsborough County Public Library. You can find a collection of over 20,000 historic images. This was apparently, like, obviously back then photography was, I don't want to say skill because it's still a skill today, but it was very unique in that like not a lot of people had access to a camera. Certainly not everyone had one in their pocket like they do today, right? So photography was a big thing, and companies kept pictorial records, and it was just a big deal, right? So Burger Brothers was a local company that still has photography that's been digitized at the Hillsborough County Public Library system. They have over 20,000 historic images. You can go on the website, hcplc.org, and they've got an insane, amazing amount of photos on here, like old photos of downtown Tampa from like 1890, information on our urban core, and all the way to St. Pete, Fort Myers, like this whole Gulf Coast of Florida. So I go on there all the time and just look up cool shit. Sometimes I post stuff from that collection. But Tampa Pix and the Burgert Brothers Collection. Those two sources to me are like the most incredible sources of historic information in this area.
So that's where you go, ladies and gentlemen.
That's where you go to check out the good stuff. Let's talk about long-term financing and the future of Fannie Mae financing for multifamily and also longer-term mortgages. So Fannie Mae has introduced a 5% down payment option for multifamily homes. To me, this is a complete game changer. Earlier in the conversation, we talked about how, the middle class, low income people just starting out, people like producer Tyler here, 21 years old, trying to make his life better, trying to make it happen, trying to live the American dream. This type of policy can do that. So it will now accept 5% down payment for owner occupied 2, 3, and 4 unit homes. This is a huge departure from the previous financing requirement of 15 to 25% down for that type of asset, duplex, triplex, quadplex. So imagine, Tyler, now you can put 5% down on a 4 unit, live in one of the units, girlfriend can help you pay the bill, and then you have 3 other tenants helping you pay the entire mortgage.
Yeah.
I mean, you live there for a few years, pay it off, renovate some units, move on, buy another one.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a real solution.
Right. Yeah, 100%. That's how you get in right there.
Exactly. This is a great policy.
Yeah. No, this is very exciting news. Very exciting.
Now, I think the government, we've kind of talked about how hedge funds are potentially in the future going to be prohibited from buying single family homes. But also, too, you got to keep in mind that the financing piece is a massive reason why prices have increased. At the same time, you got to do it.
Yeah.
You have to provide these financing options. A good example is a car, right? It's an easy example. Do you really think a fucking Jeep? I drive a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Why is it $60,000? It's ridiculous.
It's a shit ton.
It's ridiculous. It's a Jeep. Like, it should not be that much money. The reason it's that much money is because you can put like $5,000 down and then have a car payment.
Right.
If there was no such thing as a car loan, do you think Chrysler Jeep could charge $60,000 for a Wrangler? No, because no one would be able to just pay that out of
They
pocket.
would have no demand.
So debt actually increases prices because debt creates availability for people. And so that's kind of what's going to happen here over long term, right? When you provide a 5% down program for multifamily, you're going to get more buyers that are able to use this type of program. And whenever you have more people in the market to purchase, price level increases given the same supply. Right. So this could increase prices. However, this price increase will be over years and it will take a long time to take effect. Whereas when you change an interest rate, that effect is immediate.
Right.
And that's what's happening now. This interest rate change has increased so quickly, the market can't keep up and prices have essentially flattened out immediately when they were on this crazy straight up rocket ship.
Yeah, like you have to look at the rate of appreciation. The rate of appreciation 2 years ago was insane. Like when you have multiple offers on a property and it's going, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 above asking price, it's appreciating the market by tenfold. Like it was going insane. Now you're just lowering what that speed is. Now buyers are kind of a lot slower to the market. It's moving a lot slower, which is a good thing because what was happening before was just unhealthy. It was like an auction for every property that's on the market.
It's not good for anyone.
No.
Except the seller.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe not them too, because where the hell are you going to go? Like you did great on your home, but if you're not going to stash that money and then like either go downsize or you already have a place to live or maybe you're moving to a cheaper market, if you're just selling an expensive home and you did great on it in Tampa, but you have to buy another one, well, you're kind of just trading. You're not really putting yourself in an advantageous position.
Exactly.
So another thing that's coming up in new loan programs are longer term mortgages. This is something that has been talked about for a long time. I believe they've implemented a new 40-year mortgage this year. Again, this is going to cause the same issue. When you have more people in the market that are able to buy property, whether it's at a cheaper rate or it's a longer term, meaning their monthly payments are lower, you're going to have a price level increase. A 40-year mortgage is going to expand the amount of buyers that are able to afford homes. It's a great thing, okay, but it does affect price level. This is going to add to our inflation in the long term. You're going to have more people able to afford homes on a monthly basis versus when you only had a 30-year, 15, and all these other types of mortgages. They've also talked about a 50-year. This would just essentially be the same issue. The good news about that, though, is it will open up home ownership to a massive amount of people. And I firmly believe that the true American dream is you work hard, you make money. Whether you work for someone or open your own business, you provide for your family, male, female, it doesn't matter. You buy a home and you live in that home, and that home is your nest egg. That has always been like the overarching American dream. Unfortunately, that's been ripped away from the young people like myself and like you and other people that don't have a trust fund or don't have like money coming when someone dies or, you know, stuff like that. Doesn't mean we're not in a better position than certain people, of course. But this whole idea of making it more easy to purchase a home, period, for people that weren't able to in years past is just a good thing.
Yep.
So a 50-year mortgage from a 30-year, it sounds a little crazy. And a lot of people say, well, what are you going to do? Live there for 50 years and pay off your mortgage? No, that's not what the point is. The point is to reduce that monthly payment. Right now, there's a little article, there's a little graph. It compares a $1 million mortgage. Obviously not a starter home, although some of the starter homes, I swear to God, in Tampa are approaching that.
I would agree.
I
It's
see some
crazy.
there's homes that I've helped people buy that are in the 800s, and they're buying their first home and they're getting their parents to help them co-sign. And on one side, I'm like, well, this is fantastic. You know, they're going to have a nice home. Maybe they'll live in it for an extended period of time. But on the other side, I'm like, dude, you're so young and you're getting into a $10,000 a month pay schedule, you know, between taxes, insurance, and mortgage and upkeep and et cetera. I don't know. It's kind of a tricky situation. But this compares $1 million mortgages just for the sake of easiness to compare payments. An interest rate of 6% on a 50-year mortgage is $5,200. A 30-year mortgage at 5.5 is $5,700. So what does it say here? 5%, 15 year. This is a stupid graph because it's not comparing the same relative interest rate. Interest rate 50 years, 6%. I'm trying to find a schedule that would compare a 30-year note to a 50-year note. Now, what it would do is it would make, you know, if you did live in that home for 50 years, you're going to pay a hell of a lot more in total
Right.
than you would on a 30-year note or a 15-year note, et cetera.
Exactly. You'd be paying 50 years of interest.
Well, what about you, Tyler? If I told you, hey, man, you can buy that home with a 50-year note and your payment's going to be half, you know. But if you stay there for 50 years, you're going to end up paying $2 million for a $400,000 house.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Well, wouldn't because on an amortized schedule, your interest and your insurance payments are going to be heaviest in the beginning of that schedule, right? So isn't that just going to be an extended period of that? Like if I actually wanted this home for a long period of time, like if I want it for a long period, would it make sense that I mean, essentially it's the same thing, right? Like you're still going to pay a certain amount of interest,
yeah.
a certain amount of insurance, but what, like you said though, like having the payments lower because that's the whole point of it, right? It's just to lower the payments. I don't think that's a substitute for where the value, like, you know, real estate is so expensive right now. I don't think it's gonna make any type of sense having a 50-year long mortgage as a substitute for like those high prices. Like you're just extending the loan period.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think that there's really any advantage other than, hey, your monthly payment's lower.
Right.
There's no advantage in terms of like what's the final price you pay, including the interest. You know, and you're gonna pay in
The total out of pocket is gonna be crazy.
You're in the first 20 years of the mortgage, which is less than half because it's a 50-year mortgage,
Right.
Or 40-year would be half. But dude, you're gonna pay probably 3x for the piece of property that you bought. The only advantage is the monthly payment is lower. You know what though, man? That's great.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hell of a lot better than renting. At least you own your property. You can improve it. Maybe you can sell it for a profit. Maybe you live there 8 years, 10 years or less.
Right.
You can take the federal government, the IRS has a 2-year, you know, capital gain deferment. You know, if you buy a property with a 50-year loan The mortgage is super cheap on a monthly basis. You improve the property. As long as you live in it 2 out of the last 5 years, you can take a $250,000 tax exclusion, or if you're married, a $500,000 exclusion. It's a great way for someone to build wealth who doesn't really need a lot of knowledge about real estate, about finances. You just need to be able to afford a home.
Right.
And that's what this legislation does. Or policy rather, it enables people to purchase a home. So a 40-year mortgage, a 50-year mortgage, like whatever we can do to get more people who are lower income, middle income, people like me, people like you, just average Americans. Like the more of us that can afford to buy a freaking home, dude, the better.
I think it's a great short-term solution. Like to own the house for a short term. If you're going to own the house for, 2 to 5 years, like great, you have a really low payment, you can now afford it,
Yeah, and the cream of the crop is you improve it and sell it for a profit.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe you clear 20, 50 grand, like whatever it is, that tax-free money is so important.
100%.
How the hell are young people, even if you make 60, 70 grand a year, when I graduated college, that was insane. Like if you graduated college and made 70 grand a year, you were crushing it.
Yeah.
Good luck buying a house when you make $70,000 in this market.
No, you can't. It doesn't make sense.
The unfortunate thing about, I don't even know if it's social media or the internet or whatever, but when we post the podcast and post short form, it goes out to the whole world. So people comment, well, I can buy a house for $60,000. Well, dude, I'm talking about Tampa. You know what I mean? I'm talking about our market. So in this market, it's very difficult for younger people to buy a home. And that's an unfortunate thing. And this could change that. 50-year mortgage sounds bananas, but it'll help people buy homes. And I think that's a good thing. 155. How long we been rolling? I got to go. I'm late.
Gotta get out of here.
My wife is mad. So that'll be... She's not mad. I shouldn't say that. She's fine. She gets it. Live chat. Thank you for joining us. How many do we have? I think we had a few hundred people. Thanks, everyone. We're going to be doing live a lot more. I think it's fun. I'd love for people to post comments. I think we missed one. Someone says, Bulldog Tampa, any word on one Tampa breaking ground? Well, they got to get some sales. They've been pretty successful so far. As long as they get more sales and they hit their minimum on sales to start construction, I'm sure they'll do that. That's another thing too. You might see some, we kind of talked about this, but you're going to see some Tampa projects halt and not get built. I don't know if one Tampa is going to be one of those. I don't know what, I couldn't identify that, but the appetite for condominiums, the appetite for purchasing has been reduced by these interest rates. You have a lot of buyers off the table, and because of that, people are going to make different buying decisions. Maybe they, wait, hold back, and because of that fact, you're going to see some projects not go through. Whether it's one Tampa, I don't know. I like that project though, except for them bulldozing that beautiful historic building downtown. That was kind of shitty. But at least they're rebuilding it into the facade. I thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah.
Chef's kiss.
I like it.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Bye, everybody. Love y'all.
See you later.
Tyler, you the man. Thanks for producing the show. What are we? This is 45, right?
Yeah, 45.
45 episodes, 45 weeks straight. New studio.
We're here, man.
It's been a journey.
We got a lot to learn with this whole live thing, but we'll figure it out.
How long did we spend before we went live trying to figure it out?
There's still plenty of time to be spent as well.
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out at some point. Show will just keep getting better every single day that you guys are watching. So continue doing that. Show support. Show love. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. All right. Bye, people. Love y'all. Thank you guys for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like it. Check us out on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, give us a comment, give us some feedback. We want to know how we're doing. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.